You have $10,000 in your savings account. Your bank pays you $1 a year in interest. Meanwhile, inflation takes $330. That means you're silently losing $329 every single year. And your bank statement still shows your balance going up. That's not saving, that's slow bleeding. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to stop it. Okay, let's look at the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll start with the invisible thief, move into the bank profit illusion, explore the American savings crisis, introduce high-yield savings accounts, and finish up with your financial action plan. Let's dive right in. Section 1. The Invisible Thief and Inflation Explained. Before we even touch on what the banks are doing, we absolutely have to talk about the economic engine running in the background. Inflation isn't just some complex academic theory, right? It's a very practical, everyday reality for all of us. Think about it. If something costs $100 today and inflation is running at 3%, that exact same item costs $103 next year. The crucial takeaway here is that your money simply doesn't go as far. To put that into perspective, if you had $100 in January of 2015, you would need $138.23 today just to buy the exact same basket of goods. That is nearly 40% of your purchasing power completely wiped out. And not because you went on some wild spending spree, but just because the invisible force of inflation quietly ate it. And the recent roller coaster we've all been riding illustrates this perfectly. I mean, consider the historical context here. Back in 2022, U.S. inflation spiked to a 40-year high of 9.1%. Prices were rising faster than they had in an entire generation. Now, it did eventually cool down, dropping to 2.89% in 2024, and then even further down to 2.4% in 2025. But notice what just happened recently. As of March 2026, it jumped right back up to 3.3%, which was largely driven by higher energy costs. The point is, inflation is stubborn. It literally never truly sleeps. And here's the brutal math that honestly most people just never run. If your savings account is earning, let's just say 1% interest, but inflation is humming along at 3%, you are experiencing a 2% real loss of purchasing power every single year. Most Americans have absolutely no idea this is happening to them. If you don't touch a single dollar of your $10,000 savings, that 2% gap will silently evaporate nearly $2,000 of your purchasing power over a decade. Think about that. You didn't invest badly, you didn't spend the money, you just trusted the system. Section 2. The bank profit illusion and what banks actually pay you. So let's see how all of this builds into the infuriating reality of what your bank is actually handing you to hold on to your hard-earned cash. As of May 2026, the national average savings account interest rate is a pitiful 0.60% APY. Just let that sink in for a second. Inflation is running at 3.3%, and your bank is handing you 0.60%. That means while inflation takes $330 in purchasing power out of your $10,000, your bank is tossing you $60 in interest. You're literally moving backwards by $270 a year. But because your monthly statement shows a positive $60, you kind of feel like you're winning. That right there is the illusion. But incredibly, it actually gets worse. Because that 0.60%, that's just the average. Many of America's biggest brick-and-mortar banks, the ones with the shiny downtown skyscrapers, billions in assets, and those flashy Super Bowl commercials, they are paying as low as 0.01% APY on their basic savings accounts. On a $10,000 balance, 0.01% earns you just $1 single a year. No, really, $1 over 12 entire months. This is the bank profit model at work, and it shows you exactly how they use your money to enrich themselves. You deposit $10,000. They pay you $1. Then they immediately turn around and lend your exact same money out to someone else for a 7% mortgage. They make $700 on that loan. They keep $699 in pure profit off your cash, and they hand you a single dollar bill. Now, it's not illegal, it's just how the banking spread works, but knowing this should absolutely light a fire under you to make a change. Section 3. The American Savings Crisis and some really alarming data. With trillions of dollars collectively sitting in American bank accounts, earning next to nothing, let's zoom out a bit and look at where the country's savings actually stand right now. The reality we're facing is incredibly stark. A recent Northwestern Mutual study reveals that 42% of Americans have absolutely zero personal savings right now. Nothing at all. No cushion. No safety net. When almost half the country is walking a financial tightrope like that, the money they do manage to save needs to be working as hard as possible for them. And honestly, the deeper we look at the data from the Federal Reserve, the more concerning it gets.
The median household bank balance is just $8,000. Additionally, 19% of people have no savings of any kind, and 49% are living paycheck to paycheck. On top of all that, the national savings rate in May 2024 was a measly 3.9%, meaning people are saving less than 4 cents of every dollar they earn. Remember that massive spike in savings we saw during the 2020 pandemic? It's basically gone. It's been spent down or eroded by the very inflation we were just talking about. The average American is saving way too little and keeping it in accounts that actively lose value.
Section 4. High-yield savings accounts and the zero-risk solution. Okay, let's pivot from depressing to empowering, because you really don't have to participate in this losing game. There is a zero-risk solution you can use right now, and it is simpler than you might think. Enter the High-Yield Savings Account, or HYSA. Here's the difference in plain English. If you have 10 grand sitting at a big bank, you get $1 a year. If you're at the national average, you get $60. But by simply moving your money to a standard high-yield savings account, you jump to $400. And if you go with one of the top accounts out there, like Varo Bank, which was hitting 5.00% recently, you earn $500. It is the exact same $10,000. It's the exact same level of risk. The only difference is the account you choose to put it in.
Now, I know what you're thinking. What is the catch? Why on earth can they pay so much more? Well, it's beautifully simple. Traditional banks have massive overhead. They have to pay for physical branch buildings, electricity, tellers, and maintaining ATMs on every corner. Online banks, on the other hand, operate with high efficiency. They don't have those physical branches or tellers. So instead of spending their profits on real estate, they pass those massive savings directly to you in the form of significantly higher interest rates.
And if you're sitting there worried about safety, don't be. Rest assured, these high-yield accounts at reputable online banks are completely safe. They carry the exact same FDIC insurance up to $250,000 as your traditional Chase, Bank of America, or Wells Fargo account. If the online bank fails, the federal government protects your money up to $250,000. Full stop. You are essentially just giving up a physical branch in exchange for up to 400 times the interest. That's the trade-off.
Section 5. Your financial action plan and how to stop the bleeding.
We know the problem. We know the invisible thief of inflation, and we know the exact tool to fight back. So let's make this highly actionable right now so you can plug the leak today. Here's your 5-step financial action plan. Step 1. Log in and check your current terrible rate. If it's under 1%, you are being underpaid. Step 2. Go to sites like Bankrate or NerdWallet and find HYSA paying 4% or more. Step 3. Open it digitally. You don't even have to close your old checking account. Just link them together. Step 4. Transfer over your untouched emergency cash to the new account. That's an instant raise with zero extra risk. And finally, Step 5. Remember that an HYSA is just for short to medium-term cash. If you are building 10, 20, or 30-year long-term wealth, you want to look at investing in the stock market, like the S&P 500, which historically averages around a 10% return. You always want to match the right tool to the right goal.
Your savings account is not a safe place to just let money sit and rot. Leaving your money to slowly bleed out at 0.01% is a choice. It's a choice that big banks are literally banking on you making. The knowledge gap is costing everyday Americans thousands of dollars. But now that you have this knowledge, the ball is entirely in your court. What will you choose to do next?
Stop the slow bleed. Put your money to work where it gets the respect it deserves. If you got value from this explainer, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel and drop your thoughts in the comments below. It really helps the channel grow. I'll see you in the next one. But remember, doing nothing with your money is still a choice. Make sure it's the right one.